The millionaire fired the nanny for no reason, until his daughter said something that left him in shock. Rain hammered against the tall windows of the Grant mansion like angry fists. Inside the marble foyer, little Emily clutched her favorite stuffed rabbit so tightly its ears bent. Her father, Richard Grant, stood tall in his tailored suit, his face cold as steel. "You're fired, Maria. Pack your things and leave tonight." No explanation. No severance. Just those words. Maria, the gentle woman who had cared for Emily for 4 years, stood frozen, her eyes wide with quiet pain. She nodded once, whispered a soft "God bless you," and turned toward the stairs. Emily's small voice cracked the silence. "Daddy, wait." What she said next changed everything. If stories that restore your faith in humanity touch your heart, please subscribe to Corner of Kind Choices, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment sharing a time when someone's kindness surprised you. Your support helps us spread more stories like this. Richard Grant had built a fortune in commercial real estate. Skyscrapers across Chicago and New York carried his name. At 42, he had everything money could buy except time for his 8-year-old daughter. Ever since his wife Sarah passed away from cancer 3 years earlier, Richard had buried himself in work. Meetings ran late. Weekends disappeared. Birthdays were handled by assistants. Maria Hernandez had stepped into that lonely house like sunlight through storm clouds. She was a single mother from a modest neighborhood on the south side. Her English carried a warm accent, and her smile reached her eyes even on the hardest days. She never treated the job like just a paycheck. She braided Emily's hair with care, read bedtime stories with all the voices, and sat on the floor playing dolls long after her shift should have ended. To Richard, she was simply staff. Reliable, quiet, replaceable. That rainy evening, everything boiled over. A major deal had collapsed earlier that day. Millions slipped through his fingers because a partner backed out. Richard came home furious, looking for control anywhere he could find it. When he saw Maria helping Emily bake cookies in the kitchen, flour on both their noses and laughter filling the air, he snapped. "Enough," he said sharply. "This isn't a daycare. You're dismissed." Maria didn't argue. She never did. She simply hugged Emily tight, wiped a tear from the little girl's cheek, and headed upstairs to gather her few belongings. Emily stood in front of her father, trembling but determined. Her small hands grabbed the sleeve of his expensive jacket. "Daddy, you can't send Miss Maria away." Richard sighed, already regretting his tone but not his decision. "Emily, this is adult business. Go to your room." "But Daddy," Emily's voice rose, full of a wisdom far beyond her years, "Miss Maria is the reason I smile again." Richard paused. Something in his daughter's eyes made him listen. "She sings Mommy's favorite song to me when I miss her so much it hurts," Emily continued, tears spilling down her cheeks. "She told me Mommy is watching from heaven and wants me to be happy. Every night when you're still at the office, Miss Maria prays with me. She says even when people are busy or sad, we still choose kindness because that's what makes the world less lonely." Richard felt a crack form in the armor around his heart. But Emily wasn't finished. "Last winter when you were in London for that big meeting, I got really sick. The fever was so high I was scared. Miss Maria stayed all night. She used her own money to buy the special medicine the pharmacy didn't have in stock. She sang to me until I fell asleep. And she never told you because she didn't want you to worry." Richard's face softened. He remembered that trip. He had come home exhausted and barely asked how Emily was. Emily stepped closer. "And Daddy, she has a little boy too. His name is Mateo. He's 6. He has autism and needs special school. Miss Maria works here so she can pay for it. But she still brings him pictures I draw for him. She says I'm like a big sister to him." The foyer fell quiet except for the rain. Richard stared at his daughter, really seeing her for the first time in months. The little girl who once laughed freely now carried a quiet sadness he had ignored. And Maria had been the one gently holding her through it all. He remembered small things he had brushed aside. The way Maria always left homemade lunches for him on the counter with a note, "Eat something good today, Mr. Grant. You work too hard." The way she greeted the tired housekeeper with genuine warmth. How she quietly helped the gardener's wife when she needed someone to talk to after losing her job. Maria's kindness wasn't loud. It was steady, like a heartbeat in the house. Richard turned and walked up the stairs two at a time. He found Maria in the small room off the kitchen, zipping up a worn suitcase. Her eyes were red but her posture remained dignified. "Maria, wait." She looked up, surprised. I was wrong," Richard said, the words heavy in his mouth. "I had no right to speak to you that way. Emily just told me things I should have known. Things I should have thanked you for every single day." Maria shook her head gently. "Mr. Grant, I understand. You're under pressure. I only wanted to help Emily feel safe and loved." "That's exactly why you can't leave," he replied, voice thick with emotion. "My daughter reminded me tonight what real success looks like. It's not another building with my name on it. It's the way you showed up for her when I didn't. The way you chose kindness even when life hasn't been kind to you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "I'm doubling your salary effective immediately. And I want to help with Mateo's school. Whatever he needs. Consider it the smallest repayment for what you've given this family." Maria's hand flew to her mouth. Tears welled up again, but this time they carried joy. Richard continued, "I've been blind. I thought providing money was enough. You showed me that love and kindness are what actually heal a house. I want to learn from you if you'll stay." Emily appeared at the door, Rabbit still in her arms. She ran straight into Maria's open embrace. The three of them stood there in that small room while the rain slowly eased outside. In the weeks that followed, Richard Grant began to change. He left the office earlier. He attended Emily's school play and cheered the loudest. He started asking Maria about her life, her dreams, and her challenges. He even visited Mateo and arranged for better support services. One evening, as father and daughter sat on the porch watching fireflies dance, Emily leaned against her dad's shoulder. "Daddy, are you glad you were kind to Miss Maria?" Richard smiled, the kind of smile that reached his eyes for the first time in years. "Yes, sweetheart. The kindest thing anyone ever did for me was when you spoke up that night. You taught me that kindness isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing we have." He looked toward the kitchen window where Maria was humming while preparing hot chocolate. "And I plan to pass that lesson on. Starting with the people who work for me. No more treating employees like numbers. We're going to build something better together." Years later, people still talked about the Grant Foundation. What began as a business empire expanded into programs that helped single parents, provided scholarships for children with special needs, and funded kindness initiatives in schools across the country. Richard often said the real turning point wasn't closing another big deal. It was the night his daughter reminded him that the most powerful legacy we leave is how gently we treat one another. Kindness has a way of rippling outward in ways we can never fully measure. It costs nothing but changes everything. In a world that sometimes feels cold and rushed, remember Maria's quiet strength and Emily's brave voice. You never know when your small act of compassion might be the very thing that heals a heart or redirects an entire life. So today, be the kindness someone remembers. Smile at the stranger. Listen to the person who feels invisible. Forgive faster. Love deeper. Because in the end, the richest people aren't the ones with the most money, they're the ones who give the most love. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs it. And remember, choose kindness. Always. Word count, 1298.